So we're here to talk about numbers of 2025. I want to be clear from the beginning that whatever I'm sharing is not based on a prophetic approach. I'm not making a prophecy about the next year. What we do is we take the numbers which are coming up year by year, and we take them as a reflection of some themes to focus on through the year. Okay, that's the approach. And the numbers don't dictate what's going to happen. They do bring a lot of focus, of course, but they're not dictating. And even then, every number, we can say it has a karmic and a dharmic side to it. So what happens is not just down to the number. It also depends on how we live it, what we bring to it, what attention and investment we make. All the numbers are always present, so it's not that these are the only numbers going to be there, but our experience has shown us over the years that the numbers of the year do influence a lot. Everybody is going to be thinking 2025. Anybody who's going to be writing the date on their papers somewhere. So we keep imprinting these numbers into our psyche through the year. And therefore they do have considerable impact. And it's collective, it's not individual. 3/4 of the world probably acknowledge it's 2025. And so it's vibration that's around for us for the whole year at a collective level, we can say. So 2024 has now become 2025. So the main thing that has changed is actually just one number, 2025. And the 4 has become 5. That's our primary focus. But then also we add things up. So 25 becomes 7, and 2025 becomes 9. These are the main focus that we're looking at. And, okay, forget that. How we write them in the birthday chart, there are different versions of this chart, but in the Karam Kriya practice that I do, we put the day here, the month here, and so 25 goes here, and 2025. These are quadrants, I number them, the first, second, third and fourth quadrant. And so in the first quadrant we have the 5 and we have 7, and in the fourth quadrant we have 9. And these are the numbers we're going to be talking about, 5, 7 and 9. I thought it could be interesting for you to also think about your personal number of the year. I'm going to show you how you can work that out. Let's take a bit more space. Let's go down here. There. So you can put your own numbers here, whatever is your day and whatever is your month. But this time, instead of putting the year of your birth, you're going to put 25/7, and you're going to put the 9 over here. And you're going to add up. You don't have to add up 25 because it's already included in the 9. So what will you add up? Your day. Oh, let's change that color. You're going to add up your day and your month and that number 9, and you'll get a number. Okay? Just for example, I'll use my birthday just for example. I'm born on the 14th of January. That's 5, and that's a 1, and then here is a 9, and I'm going to add all that up, and I'm going to have 9, 10, 5, 15, which is 6. So my personal number for 2025 is going to be a number 6. So you can each do that. So we have the collective numbers, 5, 7, and 9, and then your personal number when you add your month and your day. Okay, so let's go to the number 5 first, because that's the first number that changes. Actually, before doing that, a little like a summary theme for the year. I'm going to tell you that first. 5 is a nervous system and physical body. 7 is the mind field, the magnetic field. It's not just your aura, because it's a collective number, so the collective mind field. And 9 is the subtle body. Also, subtle body is not just my subtle body, but the collective matrix or Akashic record, that domain of the subtle. So we have 5, 7, 9. So we have a sensitivity to the mind field, and then beyond and through the mind field into the more subtle, which is the number 9. Sensitivity to the mind field, through the mind field into the subtle realms. That is a good theme for the year. That can, of course, also be karmic or dharmic. On a more karmic version, the 5 is like in the name of, because 5 is about sound, the 5th sense of the 5 senses. In the name of something, 5. Number 7, control. We impose control. And then that control becomes so extreme that by the time it reaches to the 9, it becomes tyranny, dictatorship. 5 is also inversion. So I think something that I don't like to name people or countries while I'm sharing this material. I think that's wise in this world of politics. But what happened recently in a certain country in the world, there was within 24, 48 hours a complete change of who was in charge of the country, like inversion, because number 5 is also connected to that. Inversion, reversals, things turn upside down, suddenly become the opposite of what they were. And that just happened a few days ago. And I do find that sometimes towards the end of the year, we already get a bit of a clue to what's coming in the next year. So that's a kind of example where you can have this inversion and a new control system. And then always the question is whether the new control, new laws, new rules, new direction, whether that becomes something benevolent. Number 7 is to do with kindness, for example, or is it a control? And then the 9, is it altruistic or is it dictator? And that, of course, we have to see. But you can also look at that in your local environment, whether that's your local organizations you're involved with, your company that you work for, in your family, on all the different collective scales that we can have these phenomena can be happening. I've observed in this last year, I've heard quite a few stories of young people having heavy thoughts, dark, even suicidal thoughts. And I start to realize that it was not actually personal. It was not to do with them, but it's their sensitivity, their antennae out into the world is less personal boundaries. They're more plugging in, tapping in to the wider field. And so it's not their thoughts. And we have Wi-Fi and we have 5G and we have all different waves going around in the atmosphere, and their mind field is not contained. Like, this is my space, that would be my personal number 7, right? This is my field, my magnetic field, and my space, and I, from within me, choose the thoughts that I have in this field. But these boundaries are breaking down a lot, and there's a lot of penetration from the environment around me. And by the way, number 9 is also a number of penetration, because it's subtle. It can come through walls, it can come through whatever psychic barriers we have. The 9 can enter into all these things because of its subtlety. So it can easily permeate things. So people's psyche are being bombarded from social media, but not only in the obvious, through the screens, but just in the air itself. A lot of bombardment. And this bombardment can even be alien, okay? And I'm not saying right now, I believe there's aliens or I don't believe there's aliens, but there's a lot of that talk. And again, that's something that came up strong towards the end of this year, telling us a little bit of a clue that we can expect more of that. Alien doesn't necessarily mean something from another planet. Let's say if there was such a thing as viruses, that also gets into my field. My aura can protect me from these viruses or not. And so the capacity for things which are strange, alien, not part of my normal world, can enter into my field. Whether that's coming from outside of this planet's magnetic field or just outside of my personal magnetic field, alien things having the capacity to enter into my field. So phenomena happening around us and getting into my nervous system, because 5 is the nervous system. So we have to think in 2 ways, 5, 7, 9, but also 9, 7, 5. Yeah, my capacity to reach out into the field and beyond the field, and what is beyond the field, the irrational, non-rational elements of the cosmos coming in, which of course also can be magic. And 7 is a very rational number, and 9 is a non-rational. So magical elements coming into the field and reaching into my nervous system, which then of course gets to my brain and becomes within me thoughts and visions that I would not normally have. So people are going to have more and more unusual dreams and unusual visions and thoughts. This is the kind of thing we can expect. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit now just to number 5 and stay there for a little bit. 5 is about identity. Who am I? So number 1 is what am I? Number 2 is how am I? Number 3, why am I? Number 4, when am I? Like Ekankar Sat, when am I real? When am I authentic? And 5, identity. Who am I? Naam. What is my naam? What is my identity? So this, and because of its position in the first quadrant of our chart, is very much about getting to the essence of who I am, into that very primary inner core of my being. This is my source, you could say, or my essential nature. That would be a good theme for this year. Yeah. 5 is also about change, so we should be available for change. Even volunteer for change would be very wise in these coming times. And we're talking because of the position of the 5 and that very unit number of 2025 is really a very inner thing. So we're talking about very fundamental change, almost like earthquake kind of change of my essential sense of myself, my anchor of my being. Yeah. So we'll see what that's going to look like. Essential change. And then 5 is communication. And this we can connect to something I was just saying. The connectedness. Communication is about connection. So the connectedness of everything to everything, everyone to everyone, everywhere, all the time. Now that is already the case, of course, but more attention to that. The interconnectedness of everything and everyone, always, always, all places. That will become more evident, more conscious, and in our everyday life we're able to operate with these boundaries and this disconnection. Yeah, this is my world, that's your world. But in a year like what's coming, 2025, this is going to be a more challenge to acknowledge the connection. Yeah, and will be, it'll almost impose itself on us. Whether we like it or not, we have to attend to these connections. Communication, okay. Nervous system, I've mentioned that, so working on stabilizing and harmonizing and balancing the nervous system will be very good. And nerves is the communication channels, so that's also about global communication systems. How are they operating? Now, there is talk in the media about more controls like censorship, propaganda, misinformation, also something like needing a digital identity in order to get online. If it doesn't happen globally next year, it will start to happen in some places in the world as a trial run in order to go global. So 5 is the communication system, 7 is the control of the communication systems. Yeah. Who are you? What's your identity? This becomes, I'm jumping a little bit to the 7 again, we call the license. Yeah, 7 is the license or the limit. Yeah, that's your limit. You cannot have more time online, or you cannot have access to certain domains of the internet. So controls of the communication system. We can expect to see, it's already been happening, we know that, but this coming year, 2025, suggests that will be much more evident and much more imposed. Laws are going to be passed. 7 is about the law. And then there's a question, the man-made law, or I call it the law that made man. The man-made order or the natural order. The natural harmony of things. When we've had too much control, man-made control, disrupting the natural order, dictating over the natural order, then sooner or later the natural order shakes everything up and wants to come back into the natural harmony of things, because the human mind takes us away off center 5 and 10, some of you might know a little bit about that. They're a pair of numbers, and 5 is like the center of the circle of the 10. So mostly we live, I could illustrate a little bit this one, I think it can help. And we place all the numbers in the middle of a grid like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, and 9. And so you see 5 is in the middle, and that's the number 10. What we tend to be doing is because of the control of our mind, we are off center. Like a wheel that has got something broken on the wheel, so the 5 is over there instead of in the real middle. And so we're going along in our life and it's like bump, bump, bump. It's not a very rhythmic and smooth journey that we're making. When we have something like a shake-up coming, then that is the 5 is trying to bring us back to the center. This is what we're talking about here. We have to lose the center that we know. We have to lose the order that we're accustomed to, because that was not actually in a line with the natural order. There's all this talk about climate change and how much is it man-made, and there's different versions of the science. Some say we're in a natural cycle over thousands of years, that the planet will warm up and go through some changes, and other people are saying it's us with our interference of our technology and so on. And again, I'm not going to take sides of that debate, but certainly we can expect every now and again the Earth has to have a good shake-up and bring us back into alignment. People talk about trying to save the planet. I actually rather focus on, well, I think the planet has a pretty good way of taking care of itself and destroying anything on it that doesn't harmonize with it. And that's why whole civilizations have collapsed sometimes through history. The planet can go through an ice age or kind of global fire and start again from zero. So perhaps the question is more about whether humanity can be saved or not, rather than the planet. I feel quite confident that the planet knows how to take care of itself. And so we will see how that unfolds. And like I said, number 5, things turning upside down and becoming the opposite of what they were. And we've had a lot of that already for some years. This inversion also, even between masculine and feminine energies, and 5 is the hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means 50-50, 50% masculine, 50% feminine. Mutation and technologies and genetic modifications can also produce this inversion, but it can also produce what we might call the asexual being, neither masculine or feminine, or not even a mix of both. For what it's worth, my suggestion would be to focus on acknowledging both in each of us. But this confusion around, am I one, am I the other, am I both, what am I neither? And actually we live in a world of polarity, that's natural polarity. And any species, most species rather, reproduce because of polarity. So if we go into the asexual state, then we end the reproduction, the capacity to reproduce, except, of course, in some kind of laboratory form of cloning. So that's also something that we might see more. We've seen a little bit of that, but more of that might come up in the scientific world. Are we trying to eliminate the polarity, or are we working on harmonizing the polarity? And the male voice has been most prominent over the centuries in the Piscean era. Now, last year we had feminine numbers, number 4 from 24, number 6 from 24, and then 8 was the total. These are even numbers are feminine, and the odd numbers are more masculine. And 5 is a marriage of masculine and feminine. So we do have more strong masculine energy coming again this year of 25 from the 7 and the 9. So we have to pay attention to that. However, interesting to look forward to the next year, 26, we have the feminine of 6, feminine of 8 from 2 and 6 making 8, and then the 10 total, all or nothing. We do say that the future is feminine. We've had the Piscean masquerading false patriarch for a long, long time, and the feminine voice is gradually finding its way in the world, finding its position in the world. It won't come up strong enough yet in this year of 25, but it should really explode in the year after. So this will be interesting. Let's come back to 25. What else we have? 5, transformation, we've touched on that. Reharmonizing, trying to reset the balance. So a lot of this reset theme, which we've been hearing of in the media for some time, that's also going to be quite a big reset step coming in again, and whether that's through forces of institutional control, through global organizations, or whether that's from the planet itself doing a reset, we don't know yet, and probably it'll be a bit of both. And 5 is sacrifice, and there's always a sacrifice needed when we have to reharmonize. So again, is that going to be an imposed sacrifice from governments and other organizations, or is it a sacrifice that nature itself will ask of us? And this we will see. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit more on the 7. We've been touching on it because I told you at the beginning about the 7 and the control. So we've been doing a lot of interaction between the 5 and the 7. Old systems breaking down, new systems. 7 is also the throne, like the crown chakra. So the removal of one dictator and the arrival of another. The removal of one president, king, whoever's the pretending master on the throne, being kicked off, and another one coming in. I think we'll see some quite radical shifts of who's the boss coming in next year, 25. And number 9, now we can connect this to the 9 because 9 is called the master, but can also be the dictator. 7 is the king, 7 the master. Who's standing behind the king? Sometimes the person who's out in the public, they're just a puppet. Who's really the master behind? Will that become a little bit more evident in this year coming? Of course, the king also sometimes becomes a dictator as well, so I think we already see some of that, but we can expect more of that to happen. And 9 can it's a theme of integrity or eccentricity. We say there's a fine line between genius and the madness. So you can have this absolute mad, false king, or you can have something of integrity coming through, guiding the one who, the seven is like that platform. So when we say the throne of the king, it's like the platform of number 7, yeah? So who is sitting on that platform? And what is above them, the 9, above the 7? Is it something altruistic? Does it have integrity? Or is it an insanity coming through? 9, 7, 5, yeah. 7 steps to happiness or heaven, or 7 steps to hell. This is also the number 7. Where are we going here? Are we elevating? Are we rising in consciousness? Or are we going down deeper into the hell? And we know we've got some wars are very public, but there's other wars we don't hear about. There's cold wars, there's hidden wars, there's cyber wars. I think that would be a strong theme with these numbers of 7 and 9. Wars in that domain of the matrix and the cyber world, the hidden wars, they will become more attention will be to them, more energy will go into these cyber wars. What's happening in the air? Is it drones? Is it alien ships? Is it weird stuff in the internet? What's going on up there? Are we going into the hell or are we going into the heavens? This will be the 7. And even in the elevation, are we really rising in our awareness, or are we spacing out? Are we going out of our minds and just into weird space out, whether that's through more of these drugs and these psychotropic trips people are taking and so on? Are we getting more out of our head, or are we just waking up, our expanding our mental domain, you could say? Yeah, that would be an interesting. 7 can be about control and limiting, putting the lid on the things. Are we under the 7, or are we over the 7, on the platform of the 7, having a broad view? We might call it the bird's eye view. And so that's the karma to dharma evolution of 7, we say, is from the judge to the witness. Because 7 is to see, and number 3 is to be seen. The 3-dimensional world that we see. 7 is to see. So when I'm on the platform, I see more. But do I see and then become the judge and the jury and the dictator from that position? Or do I become the witness to the world? More witnessing, less judging. That would also mean moving from revenge to forgiveness. Karma of 7, revenge. What we see so far, when there's a conflict, somebody does one action, one country, and then the other country does something 10 times worse to the next country in the name of defense. And it's just escalation of revenge. 7 is expanding, but is it expanding the revenge, or is it number 5? Let's go to number 5. Let's talk. 7, 5, 9. 9 is peace. Shall we have peace talks or not peace talks? And we talk with our guns and our missiles and our bombs. And what kind of talk are we talking here? Revenge talk or forgiveness talk? redrawing the map. I think there's also an interesting thing what's going to be happening. We see it already in some parts of the world. The boundaries are being redrawn. And that should reach some kind of conclusion in the 2025. Because 9 is like the completion, the last number. So it's like the end of the line. Finally, we reach some point of destination. Do we draw the line here? Here's the boundary, here's the border. This is your land, this is our land, whatever. So that may also be an interesting phenomena that we might see. This year with this number 6, 24 was a 6, so the conflict and the confrontation was very strong. But in 25, people will be looking to the limit. We're reaching our limit. We're running out of ammunition. We're running out of people to send to the wars. We have to come to some end here. Or we can still keep talking with our bombs. This is what we'll find out. 7. What else on the 7? With that angle of the 7, this is also something very important. 9, 1 and 9 is a vertical axis, number 9. 7 is an angle. So when I'm at an angle, I don't see anymore all the other angles. So I'm busy with my point of view. Yeah, this is where I see things from. Somebody else sees things from an opposite point of view. And that's the number 5 is sitting in the middle there. Can we come together, your point of view, my point of view, or the 5 becomes like, what would we call it? If I take my 2 hands, my 5 fingers of each hand, now we're talking, interface, yeah, relating, or I'm back to back. I'm over here seeing things from this position, you're over there seeing things from that position, and we're not talking. Are we going to be back to back, or are we going to come face to face? Now don't only think about governments and nations, think about also organizations. In the world of Kundalini Yoga, some countries have more than one organization around their practice, their teachings, and are they talking with each other or are they blind to each other? Yeah, 7 is also meaning, where's my blind spot? Because if I'm at an angle, whatever is on the other side of that vertical line, I'm blind. I don't see it. I'm not relating to it. I am related, but I'm not relating. So that is an interesting thing. Pay attention to the blind spots. Pay attention, who are we not having a conversation with? Can I have that conversation? And that's going to be challenging. That's not at all going to be easy, I will suggest. Can I challenge myself? Have the conversation that I normally would not have. Not only me individually, but also organization to organization, government to government. Different, we always, in most countries, you have the ruling party and the opposition party. But do they only oppose or do they collaborate? This is the question. Is the 5 a bridge or there's no bridge and it becomes a chasm, it becomes a black hole? Okay. Forgiveness. Very strong theme for number 7. And when we move from the 7 to the 9, we could say forgiveness brings peace. And yet, because 5 is a paradox, so we maybe can relate the paradox here. Unless I can be at peace within myself, I cannot forgive. We're going to have to explore it from both sides. Dare to forgive, start to embrace and include forgiveness in my world, because that makes a space for peace. It allows that permeability of the 9. Peace can come into my world. At the same time, I can personally cultivate a state of peace, and from there I can feel, how might we say, strong enough, stable enough to forgive. Yeah? Forgiveness can bring peace, peace can bring forgiveness. This is something to pay attention to. Okay. 7 is about vision, so seeing through the veil, seeing the invisible, seeing the unseen. Are we seeing the magic, or are we seeing the insanity? Seeing the subtle. That takes a lot of practice. Take away our veil, take away the curtain, take away our blindness, to see what we have not been seeing. See what we have been ignoring. Yeah. Vibrate the cosmos to clear the path. That's coming to me now, because 5 is about vibrating. And so what's the quality of my vibration, of my communication? Does it open the door? Does it clear that veil? Does it allow that bridge to be built? What's the quality of my vibration, our collective vibration? What are we sending out into the world? I am aware that, I don't know if it's 3HO International or Ikita International Kundalini Yoga Association, they're starting this global meditation for peace. They're going to be chanting the Sat Narayan Vaheguru Hari Narayan Satanam mantra for peace. So this is, as we said, these numbers are collective. Number 9 is about mantra, vibration. And so vibrating for peace can be an interesting theme to look at, how to get together with your communities, meditate together, vibrate together. Like we said, the numbers can bring their best or their worst, and that depends on also us, how we approach it, what we vibrate, what we bring out from that number, how to bring that number alive in our life. Yeah. So, number 9. The total number of the year, it doesn't usually come in so much at the beginning, just some little clues, and it gradually over the year, the 9 becomes stronger and stronger and more evident. Okay, so it's the last number. What does that mean? Completions, finalizing, getting to the end of the line, getting things done. We can all work on that in small ways. What can I complete in 2025? What can I bring to its conclusion? Rather than starting something new, it would be wise to get things over with. It's the highest number if we think of the numbers 1 to the 9. 9 is the highest number. What does that mean? Focus on what is above. What is coming in from above, and what's my relation to what is above? Again, these astronomy and astrology or things out there, is it aliens and drones, or am I going there, or is it coming to me? And does it have to be something so strange, or can it also just be my Akashic record, my connection into the subtle domain? Very simple. Can it be? This is interesting to think about. We connect the 9 to the peace, calm, tranquility, relax, and to realize that the 9 is out there. That means peace is out there. So for me to come to peace, first I'll talk personally, right? My subtle body. In the subtle body is connected in the Mula Mantra to Ajuni, meaning unborn. I'm born from the subtle body. Subtle body does not take birth. Things download. I can go out to the spirit, or I can embody the spirit. So things come to me from the subtle body. I don't need to go out. I don't need to have a spiritual experience out there. I am the spirit coming in from the subtle body. Very important to understand this correctly. So that means my spirit, which eventually becomes me as spirit, I am the spirit, is what brings the peace in. Peace is not on earth. I can't construct it. I can't try to make peace happen. I need to allow, this is number 7 now talking, permission. I allow peace. I think of it like winter, the leaves falling, snow, surely in your country you've had a lovely time sometimes in the winter, these big snowflakes falling gently and all the ground becomes white, everything is covered, the cars, the trees become white, and there's just this feeling of peace. You know this feeling, right? So that's kind of a nice metaphor there, yeah, to let the peace descend. Yeah, and then my 7 is my mind. I'm not at peace, I'm agitated, I'm disturbed. And the 9 may be disturbing me to get me out of my normal way of thinking, out of my control, out of my limited way of seeing, and asking me to let peace come in. Am I going up, up, up in agitation? Or can I reach that elevated perspective that then clears the window of my mind and allows the peace to come in? So this theme of let peace descend, let peace come down, let the winter come, let that calmness come onto the land. And we know that the land needs that, and the world needs that. Some downtime. Interesting, that expression. I don't know if that translates for you, but this downtime. Put our weapons down. Put our tools, our working tools down. Put my screen of my laptop down. Yeah, this is an interesting theme to play with. Lie down, relax. You see, in the deep relaxation after the class, sometimes there's still agitation, something up, 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 up. And can I turn that around? Can I say, relax, everything fall to the ground, fall to the ground, fall to the ground, drop down, drop down, drop down, peace, come to me. Yeah, we can ask it like that as well, yeah? Peace, come to me, enter me. Remember 9 is subtle. Now here's an interesting paradox of the 9. Although it's unborn, it does nonetheless, it's like a fragrance. It's linked to the sense of smell. It gets into my clothes, it gets up my nose, it gets into my lungs. It reaches me. The source of the fragrance doesn't. Okay, somebody's burning incense, okay, but the smoke is coming into the room, the smell is coming, the stick of the incense is there, it falls to ash. It doesn't come to me. So there's something like that. The 9, even though it remains unborn, its fragrance, like a dust, like a magical dust, is always being released into the atmosphere. There are forces on this planet that don't want peace. So this is a challenge. Yeah. This invitation, this call, first of all in your local environment, and then in your wider national and eventually global. Can we invite this? Can we just put everything down? I think this is going to be really interesting to work with that, where we can. Lay down my judgment, lay down my anger, lay down my revenge, my resentment. The thing is, what is the 7? Is protection, defenses. And we become so distorted in our approach that to defend myself, I have to attack the other. And the more I attack the other, the more they defend, and the more they defend, the more they're going to attack me. So this elevation doesn't become elevation, it becomes escalation. And now we're talking about World War III. And number 7 is connected to number 3. Like 1 and 9 make 10, that's a pair of numbers. 3 and 7 make 10, that's a pair of numbers. So number 3 is kind of hidden in the background. Are we escalating to World War III? Is there no way to stop that? Maybe it has to happen. Or can we put things down? If we go to the World War III, what we're talking about then in the 9 is just wasteland. Number 9 is just dust. Desert, everything becomes desert. 7 is linked to the element fire, so we can think about that more. Fire, more bombs, more forest fires, more heat, more anger, more revenge, and that dries everything up. 7 is the fire, also psychic fire, fire from the microwaves, the magnetic fire from this equipment I'm sitting in front of. Heat, everything gets hotter and hotter. When we get to the more escalation, we even use that language. Things are heating up. 5 is the talk. So what happens is the people who represent their nations, their talk also gets escalating. The threats become higher and higher. The alert level, the red alert, becomes higher and higher. 5, 7, 9. 5 is the talk. 7 is the elevation. 9 is like way up there to the maximum. Instead of bringing down, 9, peace, come to us, we escalate. I think this is quite important, actually, that idea of we should not be trying to reach to the 9, because that's going to come from our mental control systems, and that doesn't come out good. Rather, we should be calling the 9 in. 5 is the calling, and we're asking from beyond the 7, beyond the mind field, peace come. So, this idea, this dream that some people have, a Messiah is going to come, or the Martians are going to come in the name of peace. Can something come to us and bring us to peace? And is it going to come through some tragic burn everything to dust? Or because we get to an understanding and we get to wake up and we ourselves agree to lay down the arguments that we have with each other? Yeah, rising up is going to escalate the argument. Calling the 9, come to us. This will bring peace. Which direction we're going in. I think this is interesting. Okay. highest number, call to my highest self. Highest self is altruistic. Ego is more 7, individual ego, collective ego, super ego, number 7. Beyond that, the 9, we call it the highest self. The nature, the quality of my highest self is altruistic quality, which we can link to sacrifice. Altruism means, I surrender my personal benefit for the benefit of the greater good, but this can be abused also. We can all be forced to do something for the so-called greater good in the name of the collective benefit. But there will be a question here. Is this a lie or is it the truth? Because 7 is also the lie, the domain of the lies. That's why you'll find some science tells you alcohol is good for you, a little bit of wine every day. Another science tells you it's a poison and bad for your brain. And one science tells you this is good for you, and there's another science says it's not. One science says, you see, these are the two angles, They're not talking to each other. One says that there's a climate disaster coming. Other science says, no, there's not, etc., etc., etc. You know what I'm saying, You can find anything you want to find a scientific justification for, you'll find it, This research tells you one thing, another research tells you the opposite, and they're blind to each other. And then, of course, this is where the escalation happens. And you see, when you escalate at an angle, see what happens? The more you reinforce your argument, the more far away you go from each other. 7, 8, 9. 8 is the infinity, infinite separation, and now everything just falls apart. Because the 9 becomes fragmentation. Totally fragmented. There's nothing we can do with that. That's because we're escalating up and out. If we can say to that matrix, that subtle, diffused fragrance of peace, could you gather? Could you come to us? Could you come through all this mind nonsense that we have, all this noise of the mind? Can you find a way? Can you penetrate through that and reach us and bring us peace? In a little moment, I'll make a little space if people have questions. I think we've said enough about that. And, One thing I'll say about aliens is whether there's aliens or not. As I said, I'm not going to argue one way or the other, but to tune into, I am the alien. What is that part in me that's a stranger to myself? Is number 9, my subtle self. Okay? I am the alien. So bring peace. Be the alien and step in, come down. Don't, higher self, if it's higher, it's always up there, out there. It's not incarnating. It's not embodying. If I understand this question in the chat about humanology, I'm not sure if I understand the question at all, but to embody in the human experience, you, the alien self of you, has to come in, come down. Don't be the higher self, be the inner self. Look at that shift. Piscean age, God was up there, out there. We talked to the God, we called on the God, we prayed to the God, and God is always everywhere, but it's time for us to know the God on the inside, right? It's part of the Aquarian shift of focus. God on the inside. But for that to happen, we each need to become the inner self. And I need to listen. I need to ask, I don't want to, Spirit, I don't want you to up there be my highest. I want you to come here. Come and talk to me from inside. Come down and let me hear you in here. This is a challenge now, Higher self has to become inner self. Satnam. Okay. So we can have a little time for questions. Talk about humanology in 2025. I don't really know what you're asking in that question. So unless you can clarify that a little more, you're talking about humanology teachings in Kundalini Yoga, or what else you're talking about? Mantra for 2025. Well, we've said one already. Satnarayan. There are a few. It's not just one. Satnarayan Vaheguru Harinarayan Satnam. This is mantra for peace. Absolutely. Aap Sahai Hoa Sacheda Sachadava. Had, had, had. This is a mantra for protection, connection to number 7, and for the integrity of yourself coming in to the incarnation. The Aap means the self. And that mantra neutralizes anything which is self-sabotaging. Okay? Because what we do when we escalate our own argument, our own defense system, when we escalate that, then it's going to be self-sabotaging. My intuitive impression over the next decade, the technocratic world is going to become stronger and stronger, the control mechanisms, and the digital world, whether it's digital currencies and control of the internet, control of the communication, like I've said, control of our transportation through electric vehicles, all these mechanisms of control, which have their benefits and their, let's say, problems, is going to come to the point where it will have internal self-destruct. Okay, it will sabotage itself. What I don't need is that the order that I bring to my life, the routine, the disciplines that I have, are they congruent to my spirit? You might remember I said natural order or man-made order. Which order am I aligning to? Because the 5 and the 9 is about alignment, physical body, the harmony of my physical life. How am I living? As I call it, the body, the language of the body, my diet, my exercise, my rest and sleep, my sexual energy, how I'm managing my physical body. And is it according to some mental fantasy order, or is it according to natural order? And the more I go off in a tangent of the man-made order, there's going to come, if we might call shadow, you see? Let's do that again, right? The vertical, the minute I go at an angle here, let's put the light up above here. Now there's a shadow because I've got my opinion, my judgment, my point of view. I've made a big shadow here. Not only I have a blind spot, I also have shadow. If I'm here and I elevate my point of view, I can see 360 degrees. There's not a blind spot and there's not a shadow. Honestly speaking, that's actually extremely rare, but we can minimize. We can ask the 9 to come in. Okay, let me be clear. Help me to see my blind spot. Help me to see the shadow domain. Please bring me that insight. Okay? Apisai hai ho sachida sachadhoa had. Dissolve the sabotaging forces. Let's say, sabotage my ego to preserve my spirit. If I don't do that, then I'm sabotaging my spirit to preserve my ego. Apisahai ho mantra will sabotage my ego to preserve my spirit. And not only my spirit, but the spirit. So these are the two main mantras, I would say. And any meditations where there might be, we say, to see the unseen, to know the unknown, speak the unspoken. That's the 5 and the 7 and the 9. Any meditations which have that element to them, they could be helpful. This is one where you put your front teeth together. Yeah, they're touching, the tips of the front teeth touching, and you close your mouth. And you take the mudra, Gyan mudra, and you make it very, very straight, very straight. Your arms are very, very straight, and the mudra has to be very, very tight, like that. And you have to stretch your spine very straight, shoulders back. Everything has to be very strong, pressing hard on the teeth. And you look down the line of your nose to the tip of the nose, even from the inside, as if you're looking to the tip of your nose from the inside. But you have to look really, really hard. Really hard. Okay. And you put your tongue into the upper palate, inside. So you still have your teeth together. You still have the lock of the mudra very tight. And your tongue has to press hard into the soft, not too far back, just wherever you can find a soft part of your palate. And you're pressing the tongue really hard. So everything is very intense. Mudra is very intense. Your teeth are pressed hard together. Try it a little bit, yeah, just to test it out in case you have any questions, just so you know what we're talking about. Teeth together, mudra, tongue up in the palate, strong as you can. Eyes focused to the root of the nose, following that line to the tip. Hold very still, and you can add the mental projection of Satanama. It's optional, but you can add that. It's vibrating there at the root of your nose, near your third eye. Satanama. It's like a pulse coming. And you're sitting very, very still like that. Breath should be free. Now that's a challenge because you've got this tension in your arms and your teeth and your tongue and your eyes, that the breath has to be set free. The only thing that's moving is your breath and the pulse of your mind. Mantra, vibrate your mind. Satanam, Satanama, pulsing at your third eye. Mudra is just a Gyan mudra, but everything very straight. Don't let the fingers be relaxed. Everything very strong, very straight. And the elbows are locked. The wrist is on, the back of your wrist is on the knee, on your knees, and your fingers are very straight, and you're pressing the thumb. It's not the thumb over the fingernail, but just touching the tip, but really hard, really strong. And don't let the eyes float up. Remember, we want the 9 to come down, so you don't rise the eyes, you keep the eyes at the root of the nose, and you're using that mantra, bring in the 9, bring in the subtle intelligence, subtle wisdom, the magical understanding instead of rational. You're asking it to descend You're asking peace to come into your heart. Breath is free and open to receive that subtle spirit. I am the spirit coming in. I'm coming in. I'm entering in the breath. I'm entering in the blood. I'm spreading through the whole body. I am the spirit. I am incarnating. I am here now, present in the human experience. Okay. And it's important to set a timer for yourself. It's quite intense. So you might just do 3 minutes first of all for a few days, then you can go to 11 minutes and 31 minutes. Okay? But make sure you have a timer. If you're going to do 31 minutes, make sure somebody knows where you are, because you can get locked in to that meditation where you don't want to come out. Because it's so amazing in this inside space that you create. You're like a pyramid, solid pyramid, and this inner chamber of that pyramid, the spirit is going to come in and infiltrate and expand within you. And that's very powerful. So that's good work for next year, but you've got to be very conscious with it and don't get locked there. Okay, any questions anybody wants to ask, or just comments? What have you heard? What stood out for you? What do you connect to and relate to? Yeah, let's hear that. Okay, the work we have to do with this is very much around the number 5. Anything which is for the nervous system will be excellent. Okay, that will be the best work. Build the nerves, because the sensitivity is already happening. I speak about that a lot, actually. I travel a lot and I see this is happening. It's not even because of the yoga, right? The human species is becoming more sensitive. We have allergies, intolerances, and then this goes on with all the waves and vibrations that we're subjected to. So sensitivity is a given. Of course, you can meditate and expand your consciousness and sensory system, but if you're not sensitive to self, there's a problem. You're sensitive to everything else, but not to yourself. So, building your own inner vibration. We have 2 things to say about this. I need to build inner strength, core strength, a nucleus of self. Who am I? Remember, this was almost the first thing I said today. Who am I within me? Not who am I to the world, who the world wants me to be, and who is the world to me. We're so busy with that. And the social media also keeps pulling you out who you have to try to be and follow the trend and the culture and all that kind of thing. But actually, independent of all that stuff that's going on out there, who actually am I and myself? Now, so the yoga has to work on this, building this inner strength. And the meditations have to do that. Establish me within me. Okay? And feel it, yeah? Make it real in yourself. Like the diamond, or this pearl or crystal in yourself. The other thing is, how can I not be so subjected to all this stuff going on around me? Instead of running and hiding because I'm super empathetic to everything. Rather, number 5 comes back to my essence. I vibrate me. And that, for that, it's not one mantra is the best mantra. It's a mantra that you love the most. Whatever's the most favorite mantra to you. What mantra do you recite when you feel stress or tension? Anything like that. You create your vibration so that you are putting out a vibration into the environment. Therefore, the environment is already transforming at the edge. Think of number 10, yeah? You're 5, you're in the middle. Your 5 senses, your vayus, 5 vayus, 5 pranas, your 5 elements, tattvas, you're vibrating that into the space. You know what will be good work to do that? What we call charan jap. It means japa, mantra, while you're walking. Learn to do that. Whenever you're just walking to the bus, walking to your car, walking to the shops, walking anywhere, something like Satnam, Vaheguru, Satnam, Vaheguru, Satnam, Vaheguru. Keep repeating with your, as in the rhythm of your walking, so that your body gets accustomed to every cell vibrating. I'm vibrating. You'll be amazed. You go to the shopping mall, walk through the shopping mall, and you just start to feel, I'm clear, I'm clean. My space is my space. All this is what's happening around me in the shopping mall. It's not coming in. It stays out there. But if you don't create a vibration, nowadays people are afraid of religion and mantras and weird and whatever. For whatever reasons, a lot of teachers are only teaching the yoga, the pranayama, silent meditations. They're not chanting enough. Big problem. There's so much noise going on, and that noise is increasing and increasing. That's all the more reason we need to vibrate. So please, if you have the willingness, as any of you who are teachers, or even just in your own practice, more mantra, more mantra. People even teach a whole yoga class, they don't even tell the students to inhale sat, exhale nam, vibrate the sat nam while you're doing your practice. Mantra that's who you are. In the beginning was the word. Word is who I am, and we've got number 5 coming up in 2025, and it's the very inner number of the whole thing. 7 is the next number out, and 9 is the total number, but 5 is the inside number. So this inside vibration of 5, what's my mantra? Because anything that I say the most frequently in my life, I become it. I saw a little video clip of somebody a few days ago, like teacher saying, don't say to somebody, I'm worried about your health. Because that word, I'm worried about your health, actually you have given more energy to the anxiety about their health rather than the giving energy to their good health. Can we change that? I believe in you. I trust in your well-being. I wish you well. I pray for the goodness. Not, oh, I'm worried about the wars. I'm worried about the next disease, X. The moment you put your thoughts in that direction, you're adding to the noise of that thing. And it's living because of you. Word becomes flesh. You have helped to create the actualization of that thing. I'm meditating on my well-being. I'm meditating on purity. I'm meditating on the good health of me, my family, my neighbors. I'm vibrating for the peace. Vibrating is like an antenna, like a telephone line. I don't go to the person on the other side of the line. I'm not going to go to the higher self. I'm not going to go to the subtle body. I'm going to get on the telephone line to it. So what happens is, when we have a good connection, you're talking to somebody on the phone, and you feel like, oh, it feels like you're just here in the room. It comes to me. I chant Sat Narayan, and Narayan comes to me. Some of you might know the Shabad, that's called Narayan Shabad. You can recite that Shabad, and I'm calling it to me. 9, come to me. I'm on the telephone to you. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Gurudev, Dev is transparent. Gurudev, number 9 is like Gurudev, the invisible, that my higher self, my Guru energy. Okay? But I'm not going out to it. I'm calling it here. Come to me. Come and be present in my life. If I teach a class, I'm asking the golden chain to be present. Come and be with me. Be in the room. Come through me. Vibrate in the space for the benefit of the students. Get on the telephone line. Don't go out to the other side of the line. Bring it across the line. Your mantra is your bridge, yeah? You're bridging through the mantra. Thank you, everyone. Satnam. I bless you all. Wish you all the very best for the next year. And I remind you that depends on your word. Let your word vibrate for the best, and the best can happen.